about to do our Apollo. What? No. Oh no. Hold on. Let's see here. I got this. This is a share copy. And then uh-huh. Let me just here. I will retweet it with the updated thing. How about that? Delete. Oh, we can delete tweets now. This is fantastic. We're about to give you a fresh one with the different link. Here we go. Hold on one second. You gotta love iOS with the what do you call it? It's like clipboard, universal clipboard. It's in here, copy it on my computer. I can paste the link into my phone. Okay, I bet this happens to work now this go around. All right, let me go ahead and zoom it forward. What? Yeah, we're good. What has an old logo on it? Really? Oh, fun days. This was from my own. This is my own personal account. So yeah, there are more. Um, we have more subscribers on my personal account than our new account. So, all right, I see. Okay, now folks are now it's popping in. That makes sense. All right. Just as a quick heads up, anybody catching audio on your side? I'm checking it out. Can I have Mitchell? Can I have you speak real fast? Okay. Oh yeah, it's there's also that's what I was about to say. Oh no, no, it ain't you. It's me. I've got the it's my audio coming in through the Apollo, so I need to change a setting. All right, here's about again. Let's see if this works, and then we'll play around and see if that actually does a thing.
I think we're live. Aren't we live?
I took us off live, and now we're back live again. We'll play around and see if that actually does a thing.
Live. We live. I think we're live. Aren't we live?
I took us off live, and now we're
you live now?
Yes. Okay. Great. All I had to do was change the my signal 1 and 2 to be monitor left and right, and that sends the signal out through OBS on everything. So we're actually okay now.
Live. We're live.
We're live with real audio and real people. Okay, and now I'm gonna sit my happy self back on the couch because I'm exhausted after that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, bro. Hey, we're live with the man of the hour right now. Awesomeisjayell. Sorry for the technical difficulties, brother, but hey, we're happy to be here with you, man, and super excited for your release coming up tomorrow, man.
Definitely. Yo, it's your boy Awesomeisjayell, aka the biggest music artist in the metaverse. And I am here live with NEWM. What's up?
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
That's good. I love the intro, bro. I've heard you do that. It's like, man, this dude's like a bona fide star. Like he has a legit intro every time. That's so dope.
Yeah. That's how I do it, man. That's how I started out on YouTube. When I was on YouTube, I was like, what can I say to get known for music? And that's what I came up with. And I was like, well, I'm gonna do a lot of YouTube videos, so it's gonna stick in somebody's mind. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And it
That's
worked.
right.
I love it, man.
So, how long did
That's
it
dope,
take
man.
you to come up with that shtick at the beginning? Like, how many iterations did you do, and did you like run it by your friends, or like, what do you think about this? And then they were like,
No, I didn't. I didn't. It's so funny. I did not. That was like a one take, honestly. That was, I think, like the first video I did, YouTube
Oh
video.
wow.
I was like, because people always like when they do YouTube videos, they're like, hey, such and such and such. I'm back again with another video, right? They
Right.
always have something. And I was like, okay, so what's my thing? And then I just pressed play and I was like, yo, 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 it's your boy Awesomeisjayell, the biggest music artist in the metaverse. And I was like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna just keep doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So it just
Hey, if
came
it ain't
natural.
broke,
Yeah.
okay, I'm
Yeah,
tracking.
brother.
I got you.
that's
Hey,
dope.
look, it was organic, so it's stuck. I'm with you on that, man. Oh
Yeah.
my.
That's
Yeah.
the best kind.
Well,
It-
this is fair. Mitchell, or I call you Michael, Mikey, Mikey and Mitch. You guys, so you guys made contact with JL at first, right? Like, how did you guys meet? I'm curious. How did you find us, or how did we find you?
Through his
um
music. That's how we
Yeah, I think.
found
Yeah, I think we
it.
came across. We've been looking around, obviously. In the community and with the drops and everything, we're trying to keep it Web3. And I know I had heard that tagline quite a bit. Keep it. So I think that's how his name came up. I was like, man, this is guy. He's been doing this thing, and I personally hadn't followed you from a music perspective, but I had seen you in a lot of rooms. I saw you on Twitter and YouTube a lot, and so I knew you had something special going on. And so I think that's how we originally got started.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. His name came up, and the artist relations team. We're combing through all the names that came up, and we were like, yeah, we got to get with this guy because yeah, just that presence, that intro, and we needed something like that to bring some presence to the platform. So thought it was a perfect match, and here we are.
I got you. Well, and you've been so gracious for the past like 10 minutes. Us trying to work out technical difficulties here. So thank you. And I love the fact that you knew exactly what I was doing when I had to change the audio on that. So, are you an Apollo guy? Do you use Universal Audio?
Yes, I love Universal Audio, man. I've been using it for like 10 and 12 years, bro. Like, so I just be, sometimes I go plug-in shopping. When they send the little coupons, they send the coupons through the Gmail, and I go
Uh huh.
plug-in shop. I'm like, what plug-in I'm gonna get today? So yeah, man. I'm a super fan of UAD. I love what they're doing over there.
Hey, look. Hey, I'm no joke. I low key. I'm on the UA Facebook group. So anytime there's new members popping in, I'm like, here's my reference code. Here's my reference code. You get one free. I get one free. So
That's a
other.
good
Oh,
hustle.
I might need that code. I've been hearing a lot about that. I'm not familiar with their product,
Mhm.
so
Oh man, dude,
feel free to shoot me that code, right?
I'm an analog junkie now. I didn't quite get the whole thing, a concept of like digital versus analog until I went down the UA rabbit hole and those preamps,
Ah.
dude. I mean, I actually so I'm using a Townsend Labs Sphere L22
Mhm.
microphone, which is a dual diaphragm mic, but it's a sculpting mic, and so I pair that with the UA quartet the quartet that they have, and so
Mhm.
I got those daggum like Neve preamps on the UA, and I run this mic locker through, and I have some emulations that like emulate like some UA 87s or something like that, or
Mhm.
Norman mics. Oh, anyway, so yes, I'm with you, dude. So
Oh, I see you, man. I see you. I see you. You're like a nerd with it. I like that. I
Yeah,
like
I was
that.
just gonna say, oh,
You're a nerd
you're
with it.
way
Like really, just to
most
break
of
it
that with like
down,
this.
to make it more simple for you guys, you can take any microphone and make it emulate any microphone from any
Right.
timeline. Like you can
Yeah.
go all the way back till the 1930s and pull the old microphone that an old artist used and turn your mic into that. Yeah, it's
basically,
That's
amazing. It's
amazing.
pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
crazy. I mean, the technology. the technology is so crazy. Me and Mike was just talking earlier about some of this, the advancements in AI even, and how that's starting to bleed into the music too. So it should be interesting to see how this all goes, you know.
So you're
Yeah.
going to see me monitoring the chat here. I have it pulled up on screen number 2. So shout out to you guys. Yes, it is an awesome bunch of humans here. So, and
Yeah.
hello, hello,
Oh,
hello.
that's what's up.
So cool, some cool things. So I don't know. I think YouTube's kind of fun. Just in a little bit of reference because, you know, I mean, Twitter's great. It does its thing, and yeah, you have people that can hop on and they can, talk back and forth, and that there's a time for that. But also, I think this is just a good way to showcase you as an artist, and for me, and I'm sitting on a couch, so I'm extra comfy now. So I can just kind of shoot the breeze with you and just chat about the creative process and just kind of your journey in crypto and where do you see the future going? Because I think you have a very unique perspective because you are, like you brand yourself and your metaverse focus, right? So that's something that's important to you, and I think it'll be fun to just kind of chat with you a little bit and kind of unpack some stuff. So that's kind of where we're at. So if anybody's listening, which I know I can see some of you are listening because I can see the count. If you have any questions for Jael, please reach out in the chat. Type out those questions. I will read them out later, kind of where it fits in the flow. So, Mike, are you laughing at me?
No, I was telling everybody to holler. Let us know
Oh,
if you got any questions.
do it.
So I'm happy to be here, man.
Okay,
Yes,
so let's
sir.
let's let's start off with a real short one. And I actually on my YouTube I always ask this: what mic are you using right now?
The mic that I'm using now is actually a custom made mic from Canada. It's actually a custom made mic. It has a custom cylinder and everything. So I actually inherited from my old engineer. He actually he's just like you, Ryan. Like he's like gun ho about mics. He's gun ho about the plugins on UAD. He actually put me on to the whole game with UAD, right? So he had this fetish with microphones. He would buy a new microphone every week. Like
Wow.
if he Yes, he will buy a new
Jeez.
microphone every week. Every time he hears something about tech related, that's an update or upgrade about some type of microphone, he would go buy another microphone. So
Was he
I got
flipping
caught up in that
JPEGs?
rabbit hole, and I'm sitting on the side like, oh man, you love these microphones, right? You're gonna give me that one right there, aren't you? You need a new one, don't you?
You don't need this one,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I got like two microphones from him, and this is actually the one that I use the most, which is a custom made premium mic from Canada. I probably say ballpark. He paid around 5,000 for it. I think 5,000 for it, but he
Ooh,
gave it to me for much less than that. So that's my guy. Shout out to Moj.
JB just wrote on there. He said, "Mike Hustler." I love it. Look, y'all think folks trade in PFPs and JPEGs and NFT projects are degenerates. If you get people who get really caught up into the mic world, you can go broke real fast. And
yeah,
It's
a
a
lot of
Yeah,
lot
money.
of money. It's a
Yeah,
lot of money in microphones, man.
I'm doing
definitely.
good. Mine was a solid $1,500. That's the most expensive mic I've ever bought.
there you go.
Um, and just a quick, and then we'll move on from mics because I know I can go down the rabbit hole and I don't need to. Um, this mic emulation. So like the Neumann mics back in the day. So you see how this is turned upside down. That's typically because they were tube amps, and anytime the amp got hot, the diaphragm on the inside, if it was flipped, the heat would rise and distort the diaphragm and it would basically break it. And so that's why they always hung the mics upside down so the heat would disperse
Hmm.
up and not mess with the diaphragm. You don't have to
Mhm.
do that now. But also, no Neumann ever sounds the same as another Neumann. So when somebody says, "Oh, that's not a Neumann," you go, "Well, how do you know?" Because they all sounded different, and the tubes all sound different now. So there is no set sound for what that mic sounds like. So don't let
Mm.
somebody try to hoodwink you into spending thousands of dollars on a Neumann microphone because you don't necessarily need it. So anyway,
It's all in the
That's wild.
voice, baby. It's all in the voice. That's what I was told by my boy
Yeah.
Walt. Shout out to Walt. Because
Yes,
my boy
sir.
Walt, yeah, he told me, man, it's all really in your voice. You could record on on a cheap mic,
on
but if your
anything.
voice is if your
Well,
voice is strong enough,
you
you can mix that and make it sound
you
beautiful.
you can clean up some stuff with isotope, and then ozone, and then all the fun things. So
Yeah.
we're about to get on. I do see some questions, and we'll answer. We're gonna talk about some of them in a second, but I want to focus on the drop, and I want to focus on you as an artist and Web3 for right now. So how long have you been in Cardano? Let me just ask you that first.
Cardano now, probably like almost 3 years now. Almost 3 years. Yeah,
Come on.
been Cardano almost 3 years. I think I jumped into Cardano. I think it was like around. I think it was around $1.10 or something like that when I jumped into Cardano. So yeah, it's like $1.10.
All right, I call that fam. You're starting to border on that like medium OG status.
Yeah, yeah. I came right. Okay, so what was minting? Because yeah, I assume that you know about the NFTs. So
Yes.
I think I came around the time what minted. I came right when like Boss Cat Rocket Club started minting and Chill Kongs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I think
So,
I just missed Clay Nation by like 3 or 4 months or something like that.
oh, you miss Lena. I got you. Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
Oh man, low key. I meant it a space bud, um,
Mm.
and I thought they were,
OG.
and I love you, Alessandro. I thought they were stupid, and I was like, nobody's ever gonna buy these. They're stupid. Like what? They're little bitty. Like what is this? I'm not spending any more ADA. I'm good. I minted one. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I have other friends who minted like 150 of them, and they still have them. I
Yeah,
don't.
they're up right now.
So yeah, there you go. So shame on me. Should have kept Alessandro Space Buds. I didn't mint any Chokongs. I didn't mint Boss Cats. I didn't mint Clays. I didn't mint any of the dadgum things because I was always going my precious Ada. So for
Yeah.
better or for worse, here I am. Still an NFT degenerate, but yeah, I didn't catch that. So
What are you minting nowadays?
your drops.
Okay, that's a good one.
Good
That's a
answer.
good
Good
one.
answer.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
I
That's a great
mean,
answer. Great answer.
legitimately, I just go. I can't part with my precious Ada,
Mm.
for much things right now. I just don't want to. So
It adds up, man. Once you start spending, it does add up.
I would rather have an NFT. I'd rather have a token in my wallet that potentially would give me something in return over time, as
Okay.
opposed to just hoping value goes up.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're a DeFi guy then.
I do love DeFi.
I love DeFi too, so I relate to you.
Yeah,
It's the
Yeah.
gift that
I got a
keeps
Some
on
question for
giving.
you
people
guys.
sleep on DeFi.
Do you guys think that that's the general populace? I mean, obviously people, everybody's different, but you got, I would imagine, avid collectors, but then you got some guys that feel like you about holding on to the actual ADA. Like, where do you think that line is? Like, obviously we want people to buy NFTs, right? So
Oh, somebody
Yeah,
said,
man.
guess what?
There's definitely the DeFi people definitely outnumber the NFT DGens, man. If you go look at look at some of the TVLs, man, the TVL is going crazy. The liquidity flowing around the DeFi over NFTs like is insane, especially right now on Cardano. Like Cardano is doing like 8 million, like 8 million ADA per day in DeFi. And you'll be lucky to get like a 1 million ADA day in NFTs. So I would definitely say
wow,
DeFi has more of a edge.
We're gonna
got you.
have a DeFi summer like Ethereum
Oh,
did.
it's already kind of started already.
It's
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 already, it's a little, you could see it come above the water a little bit. You know what I mean?
I was in crypto like hot and heavy as like an investor from 2017. I followed it from 2013 on, and I still want to kick myself nowadays. Um, I was a grad student and I was didn't know how to save money, and I really wish I would have bought more magic internet money instead of like eating out, you know,
Me too.
like an idiot. But whatever. I digress. I think NFTs that really though that was the lifeblood of Cardano once the minting started, right? Once we had native assets. And so I think now when you see the smart contracts coupled with the fungibles and non-fungibles, that's DeFi for us, right? So I think you're seeing that come on, and people are everybody that played in Ethereum or others in 2016, 17, 18, you're seeing them go, oh wait, we can do that now in Cardano, and oh, maybe it's not as scary potentially, right? So I've got burned enough in DeFi on other chains that I'm cautiously optimistic. Here's my
Mm.
alpha. If you really, for me personally, I'm an Ergo fan. I'm an Ergonaut. That proof of
Oh,
work,
okay.
and I'm super Ergo because I'm a Sig RSV guy. That's Sigma RSV, which is the reserve token for their stablecoin, Sigma USD, which is the precursor to JED on Cardano. So, in Shen is the equivalent of Sigma RSV on Ergo. So if you're long Cardano or long Ergo, you should have JED or Sigma RSV because that's even more so. So,
I'm
anyways,
I'm not gonna lie to you, Ryan, man. I don't know how I feel about these USD coins, these stable coins on Cardano yet, man. I'm kind of iffy with those right now. I think I think I want to watch for a little bit. But I like what Jed's doing. I like what Jed's doing. I've seen the Sigma. I like you said, as a precursor to Jed. Like I've been watching the whole ecosystem, but I'm just not quite comfortable enough with the USD coins, the stable coins on Cardano yet. I'm
J-
just not.
JB just mentioned anyone seen the Bank of England digital pound proposal? He just did a live space on it. Yeah, I have seen that, and I mean, look, you can look at the SEC and Gary Gensler right now. They're going after competitors to a digital dollar. That's just what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's that, and then they're also custodial. Anything custodial. They're going, which he's being very disingenuous by saying, "Well, come and register with us," but there's no real way to register, right? So he's saying, "Come and do this," but in reality, there's no way to do the very thing he's quote saying, "Come and do."
Mm.
So, but I digress. We can have a whole convo about that.
Sounds like the
I
government.
see.
This is this is
Yeah, it
this is
sounds like the
why
government, right? Yeah.
this is why I love YouTube Live, because we wouldn't be talking about this on Twitter Space right now. We just wouldn't be.
Oh
Um,
Yeah.
you would have got cut off like you got cut off like 20 minutes ago. You would have been like, what? People would have started leaving the room. Like it's harsh. It's harsh, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
but okay. So let's talk a little bit about the drop first, though, and I want to talk about before we get there. Let's do a quick backstory. Can you give us just a real quick overview of your history in the industry and just doing music, and where'd you come from? What how did you get where you're at? And then we can go into the crypto side of things.
Okay. Really, it just all started out with me like in high school. Well, not even high school, before high school, in middle school. I actually had this one cousin, and I know a lot of people probably can relate. Like, but I had this one cousin that used to rap. He used to freestyle a lot, right? Every time I went to a family function, he would just start freestyling. Like he had this ability to like beat on his chest and like freestyle at the same time. And I used to be like, man, that's so cool. Like, how are you doing that? And he used to be like, man, you could do it too. Like, why are you acting like this so amazing? You could do it, and he used to just play beats, right? And he used to be like, freestyle, man, freestyle while he's, freestyling. And I used to be like, nah, man, I can't do that. And then one day he finally got me to freestyle. And when I did it, it actually sounded good. He was like, see, man, I told you could do it, and once that happened, I was like, oh man, I can rap. Like I didn't even know that. Like I felt like I got a new toy, right? I got a new toy that night. Just knowing like, oh, I can rap. Like I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And then, it kind of went from there. And then, I started listening to different types of music. Like so in middle school, there was also 1 year I had to go to summer school, for middle school right before I went to high school, right? Um, and in summer school class, like I'm from the South. I'm from Atlanta, born and raised, right? So I grew up listening to Outkast, like David Banner, Lil Flip, T.I., Lil Wayne, Master P, like all the classic, you know what I'm saying? That's what I used to listen to growing up. But when I went to summer school, one of my homies, he was from originally from New York, but he was originally from New York, but he moved to Miami. So he brought a lot of the music out there to Atlanta to the school, right? And one day we were both listening to our types of music. I was listening to the South, he was listening to East Coast music. And so we were like, man, you know what? We should just switch music and see what it sounds like. You know what I mean? So, so we swapped music. He at that time he had Blueprint, he had Jay-Z, Blueprint, Gifted and Curse too. And he also had Diplomatic Immunity by the Diplomats.
Dipset,
Yeah, yo. So he gave me those CDs, and I'm like the whole day. Yo, my mind was blown, bro. I was like, I can't believe this music existed, and I never heard it. Like, I was just like, my whole world, literally, like, I promise you, that changed my life forever. Like that's when that opened my mind up, right? Especially listening to the different types of wordplay on the East Coast and how they were using their wordplay. Because the thing is, of course, they were using their wordplay in the South, but if you get another perspective, you can put it all together. You see what I'm saying?
It was different words. It was a different set of words and lingo, and
exactly. So when I did that, like in particular, what really made me want to pursue rap is when I started listening to Blueprint, Gifted and Curse 2, and I heard the song Guns N' Roses with Lenny Kravitz.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's dope.
Bro, his line when he said, "You too can live like Cerrito Ferragamo." I was like, that particular wordplay structure, I was like, oh man, the way he used
I gotta do this.
I was like, bro, okay, my wordplay gotta be like this. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, I was listening to Nas too. You know what I mean? I went back to Illmatic. I was bumping Illmatic for a long time, bro. Like I was bumping Illmatic in the 2000s like it was new, bro. Like people like, what you listening to? I'm like, listen to Illmatic. What you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So I went through all of that. And so after that, I was like, okay, I know I want to do music for real now. So then I just started writing. I started writing, a couple summers later, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the studio, and I started saving up money to go to the studio. And then I had a group of friends. Most of my friends was actually from the East Coast as well. You know what I mean? I was usually the only one from the South. So, you know what I mean? I kind of picked up their dialect and stuff like that and things of that nature. And I was like, you know what, man, this is cool. So I just kept going with it. And lo and behold, I ended up getting into a group. I got into that group. And then things ran its course with that. I kind of made connections and stuff like that. I did shows. I was out in the streets handing out CDs. I was probably like 15 around that time, 15, 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was out handing out CDs. Like I met a lot of celebrities just doing that. And I was like, okay.
In Atlanta.
Yeah, man. So I was really just out here just hustling. And then I got into another group, but this group was different because my approach and my mindset was very different. Because I had been studying music for a while, I started to learn more about music business. I said, man, you know what? Instead of me out here being a starving artist, I want to know the business side of music. I want to step first with my business correctly before I go into it as an artist, right? And I kind of picked up that mentality from what Jay-Z was putting out there. You know what I mean? He made it cool to be a businessman first, before being an artist. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to research PROs. I'm going to research splits and deals. And I want to know what distribution labels do. I need to know what I need to be qualified to own my own label. And so I started doing that like probably at 18. You know what I mean? I created my own label at the age of 18, and me and my friends just went out there and started making music. And then we actually, we got signed. We got into a deal with it was a subsidiary of Interscope Records. So we got signed. We went through that contract and deal, right? But I felt like at the time I was very mature for my age because I already knew what I wanted. So I kind of had this line in the sand I had a line of integrity, a code, a bond that I, created with myself that I said, you know what, I'm not going to overstep these boundaries. I don't care how good the money is. I don't care what's happening. I just know what I'm not going to do. I don't care. I'm not going to let anybody peer pressure me. And so it came to that line and I just walked away. And I said, I called up my lawyer. Hey, I want to get out this contract, drew up the clauses, got out of it, and that was it. And I kept moving forward. And so the story really changed from there. So from that point, I went independent with everything. I learned how to do my own music production. I learned how to engineer, how to mix, master. I learned how to do graphic design. I learned how to design clothes. I learned how to do film. I learned how to edit film. I learned how to do all of that because I said, okay, I really want to put everything in my own hands. And I just want to create it. And I wanted to be able to look myself in the mirror if it doesn't work out for me. You know what I mean? And so so all of that was happening, right?
So you part Jamaican then, pretty much.
I know. I feel like it. I feel like it. My wife is Nigerian, so
okay, close.
You know what I mean? So it must be in the bloodline somewhere,
right? But no. I mean, not to interrupt you though, but that's a lot, right? Like, where do you get that drive? Like, because a lot of people, I would imagine, have some ambition to do things, extracurricular or whatnot, but they don't do it. You know what I mean? Especially not to that capacity. So what do you feel like made you, take it that far?
Man, I just always had this type of thing where like if I'm genuinely interested in doing something, like that's just enough for me. It's just always been enough. And like I said, you heard the story, right? You heard the beginning. It started with me freestyling with my cousin.
Right.
And then it's almost like every 2 to 3 years I get a bigger boost of energy from something very small and simple. Like it started off freestyling with my cousin, and then it went from me hearing some music from the East Coast, and that was enough to fuel me for 10 more years. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just inspiration always been like that with me. You know what I mean? Like I will see something that's inspirational and it will power me for like 12 years. And then I'll tell somebody like, okay, they'll be like, well, what inspired you to do this? We're like, well, one day I seen this commercial on TV. And they're like, what?
Like, that's it? Like 10 years ago? What?
Now, I completely feel you 100% because I'm the same exact way, man.
Let's
when I went to the military, that fueled me through the whole military. It's like, oh, everyone thinks I can't do it. Boom.
Wait, so okay, you started a label at 18. So just for anybody wondering what that looks like, you created an LLC, right?
Yes.
That's all that's all you did, right?
That's all you have to do.
You say the word, of course, like duh, that's what you do. There's so many musicians that do not understand the benefits of separating your personal self from a brand, right? And just the benefit, and also if you want to be a label, you want to have multiple catalogs. If you want to own them, right? It's best to do that, and it's easiest to do that under a label as opposed to just like a private individual, right? So I just wanted to. I always like taking snippets from artists because there's so many things that the things that make you successful that you take for granted in the sense of, well, duh, everybody like this just makes sense. I like taking a couple of those little snippets every once in a while and going, yo, for those of us who didn't make sense like that, just so we know the mechanics of, hey, this is how you do this. So I just wanted to point that out.
And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, like sometimes you think that it does, right? And it's not inherent knowledge. Like most, like to this point, most artists don't have their paperwork in order. They don't know, the different ways that they can make money off of their music.
I actually think this is a great time, just for a quick second, to detour. We're going into Web3, but even before we get there, creating a wallet, right, or minting music, or minting an NFT or something on chain, right? You have an option. You can mint that as an individual, or you can mint that as a business, right? And so I think that's kind of important for people because I know Mikey and Mitchell, you guys have mood swings crypto, right? That's its
Right.
own separate company, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, which is it's an LLC, correct? Which
Correct.
means it has an EIN number or it has a social security number, but it's not social, but it has a number, a tax number that's attached to that business, which is separate from your social security number, which is attached for tax purposes for an individual, right?
Correct.
So if you're doing business in Web3, you have a choice. You can do business as an individual or as a business. And so even though we're in Web3, there's still that where rubber meets the road of the real world
The
versus
real world.
the
Yeah.
decentralized,
Yeah.
blockchain. There's crossover, right? And there's lessons to be taken into from one into the other, right? So I just wanted to point that out. And this is getting a little bit too much into the weeds, maybe just a tick. But for jail, whenever you mint or you release stuff, right? Or if you're doing stuff in the metaverse or just in crypto, are you doing that as an individual or are you doing that as your business self, which might or might not be where your brand lives?
As my business self.
I love it. And just for anybody else wondering, use the tax codes, baby. For businesses, taxes and business, it gives you flexibility as an artist, and you need that. Just as an extra FYI. Mikey, did I see you for a quick second there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. I have to cut out. My daughter has to go to acting class. JL, I
Acting
just
class.
yeah,
Oh.
I'm trying to raise some little actors,
Let's
I'm trying to be
go.
like Beyonce's dad.
There we go.
Get it.
One of my daughters is in gymnastics right now, and I got to take the other one to acting right now. So
You're totally
I
good.
love it.
I really apologize for the interruption, but I just want to let you know I wish you all the best of luck, and I'm gonna be at your release party tomorrow. I want to send my love to everybody watching. I'm sorry for interrupting,
Good,
but
bro.
yeah, I gotta handle these daddy duties, y'all.
Go do it. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
Mikey.
Duties
We'll catch you,
prevail
Love
bro.
and respect.
every time.
All right.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay, so moving forward, right? So you've gone into crypto, and you've been in Cardano for 3 years. You obviously were in crypto a little bit before that. So where do you see yourself as an artist right now? So obviously you have a Web 2 presence, but you're now a Web 3 presence. Would you say that would you say your focus is more on Web 3 than the traditional systems right now at this point?
I would say my focus is evenly spread. I think, especially this month, I think this month, because I can break it down to the months, but yeah, I could say this month I'm definitely more focused on Web3 presence. I think Web2 presence is important too, but the Web2 presence is starting to seep into Web3 too as well.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, right now I'm working with a project called a kid called Beast. They're actually looking to do a record label, right? And that's just a project that I invested in, from an NFT standpoint. But they're putting out a record label and they're creating a mixtape and they're saying, hey, whoever gets on this mixtape, we're going to sign them to a distribution deal to release a single. And so when you start looking at things, everything is just like coming together seamlessly. And so when you look at that, it's like, okay, where am I right now? Like, where am I being? Like, where is my being resonating at, right? And it's like, okay, Web3. Like, I'm in the center of Web3. Web2, the thing about the Web2 presence too, I feel like the Web2 presence doesn't really take as much anymore. I mean, no one's really going outside putting up billboards. I mean, people are still doing that. You know what I mean? But Web3, you can reach so many more people in such a shorter amount of time and less dollars spent. So, I think the Web3 presence, the possibilities are just endless. You know what I mean? And Web2 kind of has a cap on it, when you don't have the funding to, fully power yourself, in the sense of marketing.
Yeah, and you don't control the platforms that you're marketing from either. You can't really adjust your reach beyond the algorithm unless you pay for it. So
That's a fair statement. Okay, so obviously, like you said, so you're shifting to Web 3. You know, we still have Web 2. It's still around, so we have to play with them, right? So, what in your mind? So obviously, you are known for metaverse, right? So there are some Cardano metaverse plays. There's some non-Cardano metaverse plays, right? And like the Sandbox, which one could argue that's super commercialized. Decentraland, which is quote, it's the OG theoretically, right? Project, which, as an aside, I almost bought some Decentraland things way back in the day, just playing around, but I didn't. There's been a lot of NFT projects I didn't buy. If you're noticing a theme here, so yeah, we're not going to talk about a wallet I have that I can't find that has like a substantial amount of Dogecoin that somebody gave to me for free. That would have changed my life
Ouch.
had I found it during the last bull market. So, anyways, I digress. So,
Yes.
what metaverse plays are you seeing that you as an artist they're alluring to you, or if any?
Um, I like Other Side. I like what Bay C is doing. Board ABI Club for people who don't know. They have a metaverse called Other Side. I really like what they're building. I think it's dope. Because it spans further than just. I feel like the way they're putting the pieces together for their metaverse, they're doing it one piece at a time. Like they just put out this mini game, right? They just put out this mini game, and they're going to continue to put out these mini games, right? Of course, you got to own a Board ABI club to have access, or find a way to get access. But I feel like starting with baby steps to build your metaverse is a better way to do it, rather than just saying, hey, I got this big place where everybody can come play. It's like, okay, at least have some kind of strategy to that. Like, what can I do right now?
Yeah.
Outside of just the sandbox element, right? Because even if you do have the sandbox elements, we want to have activities to do once we go to the metaverse. We don't just want to stand around and look at each other like, oh, that looks
Yeah.
cool. That looks cool. You need to actually have an activity going on. Another reason why I like them too as well, I feel like they're going to be more like festival driven, like with having music artists perform and things of that nature within their metaverse. So yeah. I definitely like Other Side. I also like Clay Nation as well. I like the Clayverse. I like what they're doing in Clayverse because it gives me a similar vibe. The vibe with they're definitely pushing the narrative when it comes to having music artists perform too as well. They actually have a studio that they created for artists to actually collaborate within the metaverse. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so Clay Nation and Other Sides are like my top two picks that I like for metaverses.
I got you. Have you played around with their sequencer essentially?
Which one?
With the clay.
No, I haven't had a chance to. I just played around with the map and
Mm-hmm.
the map and things of that nature, but I haven't had a chance to like just run around and things of that nature. I
I
mean, I
got you.
played with the clays, that clay animation and things of that nature, but outside of that, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. Yeah, no, there's some definite. It's interesting watching people take real world events and try to recreate them in that metaverse kind of environment because there's some things that happen easier that way, but then there's some things that just don't translate the same, right? And
Yeah.
so watching people find workarounds is going to be interesting. So there's also like Pavia, I think, or Cardano, or I can't remember what there's another one, but obviously that we have we work closely with Cornucopias. That's our big folks. Josh and the team over there. That's a big thing that we're with them working on, bringing music to the metaverse because doing a live concert or even pre-recorded that starts getting into these different types of royalties and who gets paid what, when, where, why, how, right? So which is right up our alley because that's the crux of part of what we're doing, right? Which is that infrastructure build and laying out and connecting and mapping these royalties in Web3, right? So, and also Web2. But this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. There's a company that I know that was facilitating streams of artists into a metaverse environment in real time. So the truck would show up to the artist's house. They'd hop in the truck, the semi, put on some gear, stand in front of the camera, and do something that's being streamed into a metaverse. And then they would finish the stream, they'd hop off the truck, go back in their house, and they've done their concert. So like that's
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's a real thing going on. Big players are doing that. So, and then I also know that
Future Fest does something similar to that, right?
somewhat, and then there's also some studios that they've literally built a streaming studio, right? So it has an entire setup for band and whatnot, and it's set up with cameras and whatnot to where you can you can create in like somebody's camera operator, right? It's a full production, but they're essentially creating like an in real time music video production, essentially, that's being streamed into a metaverse, either through avatars or on a screen that's in the metaverse somewhere. So it's interesting.
I've seen something like that as well on social. They were creating like a 360 atmosphere where it's really you, but you're immersed in this kind of metaverse style environment, and they're offering that as a product for artists to record their videos and share on socials like that.
Yeah. So, but if you think about it too, if it's a recorded thing and you're consuming it, what is that? Right?
Yeah.
That's sync. If it's video, right? If it's video and audio at the same time, I don't care if you're in the metaverse or not, it's still sync. If you're listening to audio only and it's coming through a metaverse, that's still streaming. Doesn't matter that they might put a skin on top of it that makes you look like you're listening to it while you're in a bubble jet. You're still streaming your audio from a legal standpoint, right?
That's right.
So that's where it gets really interesting for us, because it's like, all right, let's peel the layers back and what's really actually happening, and so where does money go, right? So that's always super important. But which brings me to essentially the drop with you. So I know you have this piece of music that you're dropping with us. For you, I know that you know what we do, and that fractionalization of, for right now, we're targeting streaming royalty income, right? But the bigger crux of it is, it's the biggest thing to point out is we're fractionalizing IP ownership, right? And that same concept can be applied to different types of IP, right? We're just choosing to apply it to streaming royalty income right now, because that's the lowest barrier to entry, least perceived value right now, right? And there's less middlemen to deal with to worry about getting that paid out, whether it be Web 2 or Web 3, right? So, for you, how does this, because it's a tool, right? At the end of the day, there's so many things you can do as a musician in the metaverse, or not just the metaverse, in crypto, right? You got a metaverse play, you got NFT mints, like you can do rarity mints, you can do one of X, you can do one of ones, which is like the equivalent of a serialized release, right? Like it's like you have so many CD jewel cases that you have to give out, right? On top of that, you can attach token gating to the NFT releases, to the fungibles, to whatever you want to, right? So you have all these options as an artist, and distribution is just another tool in that toolbox of potential products that you have as an artist that's available to you, right? And so for you, minting with us and doing this drop, I still don't have the right term for this, because it's not a drop. There's a minting process, there's a minting aspect to it, but then it's being distributed. So I don't know what the heck we're going to actually call this thing, but the action that we do, which results in minted tokens and your music being distributed to Web 2, right, for now, until we have our own streaming platform for it to be distributed on that as well, and Web 3, what type of value prop do you see into that, and how is that going to play into your side as an artist, thinking from a business standpoint, or just, connecting with your fans? How does this play with you in the bigger scheme of things? That's a really open-ended question. So,
it just gives you more ways, more tools. It's like putting more tools under your belt. You got more tools to, do different things. You can experiment with different things. You can see, You can see how your fan base feels about, you know, your movements with it. You can see if they, you know, believe in your streaming, whether you're going to do streaming numbers or not. Like, it's just different. Like, the whole thing is different, and there's so many ways you can play with it. And then on top of that, you have the actual, you know, the policy ID. You can airdrop something else to the people that, you know, buy the streaming tokens as well. Like, it's just limitless. I just see it as being limitless. I can token gate my streaming tokens if I want to. I could throw a private show and say, hey, if you're a 80% owner of the shares of this stream, you know, of streaming tokens for this particular song, we're throwing a private concert and it's token gated. You're all invited. You know what I mean? Like, you could do anything. Like, you could literally do anything. And so when you said it's open ended, I'm like, yeah, like, I could think of 1,000,001 different ideas I could execute, you know, revolving around a revenue streaming token. Like, I can make magic happen. That's what I'm going to do. Like, I would do something that's never been done before. And people are going to be like, oh man, I didn't know I could do that. But that's why it was created in the first place. You know, a lot of these tools in Web3 are so new. It's really like a playground, literally, right? So you get something like a revenue streaming token, you take it and you see what you can do with it, you know, rather than thinking about people or being consumed with the thought of people actually buying it. You know what I mean? Think about it as a tool. Okay, what am I going to do with it? That's the fun part. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about it. Like, I think it's untapped potential. It's a lot of untapped potential with it.
I'm so happy you said that.
That's a great point. I just wanted to point that out too, that you said that, because I know Juice, you know, one of the previous drops, he did just that very thing. He took some of the tokens and airdropped it to his community of folks that had bought a previous drop, right? And some of them hadn't been following NEWM and hadn't been following his drop. So they look in their wallet like, what the hell is this, right? So it's like a great marketing tool. It's almost like the new Web3 version of email marketing to your existing, you know, mailing list. You know what I mean? So it's dope.
I would even go, honestly, I would even go a step further. And for me, I always, and I don't think people realize this. I know we get really specific on terminology when we start talking about generating income, right? Because thank you, Gary, the Gensler at the SEC, for making everybody scared. But essentially, because people scream security, security, right? So I mean, I have many thoughts on that, but one, here's the deal. When somebody purchases one of these, it's up to the listeners to listen and consume this piece of audio for it to do work. You know what I'm saying? It's not, they're not buying it and go, well, I hope somebody does something and it makes me some money, right? Like, that's not what this is. It's a, hey, we know that if I go and listen to this, I pay myself. Right? Like, and that, to me, I think that's something super unique. Just in direct reference to streaming tokens, terrestrial tokens, mechanical tokens, master tokens, all the different types of IP that's associated and generates income based off of the song doing stuff, right? All of those, holding these tokens essentially creates income into your wallet, as opposed to buying an NFT of an album and it just sitting there. Do you understand what I'm saying? To me,
Absolutely.
That's a very distinctly different type of token to hold in your wallet. And I don't know of any other token that does that. To be frank, I just don't. You know, and I think that, to me, is just super, super cool, and something that, you know, people need to, once they figure that out and they go, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
If I buy this, I actually get stuff that can, like, it's not just stuff. It's like
in perpetuity.
Exactly. It's like dollar stuff that
that
comes
is,
to me.
Man, that is a crazy way to look at it. That is so amazing. As you just said, he's like, I could get paid just for listening to the music like that I own. Like, that is insane, man. That's a jewel right there. I'm definitely, hey, everything you're saying, I'm gonna copy and paste right in my mint party tomorrow. So
Do it.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I hear what you're saying.
Well,
I never thought about it like that, but that's a great way to think about it.
you know what else?
Yeah.
Like, here's another use case, right? You like DeFi. I love DeFi. Let's just think down a rabbit hole a year from now. Let's say your piece of music's been out streaming for a year. You got a year's worth of metrics associated with it's on average being streamed this amount of times per month, which means on average it's generating this much income over the course of 6 months. If you know that, we'll use round numbers, let's say you know that this piece of music, based off of the average streams per month, is generating you, let's just say, I don't know, $500 a year, right? Then you all of a sudden can go, wait, if it's generating that much, then it means that every token has to be worth at least, quote, this much, which means now I have a price based off of income of how much each token's worth, which means now I can use those tokens as collateral in a DeFi loan. So now I can use my future streaming revenue tokens as collateral to take out a loan against that for upfront cash advance, right? So you're literally leveraging your music. It's essentially what you're doing, or that aspect
literally.
of your music, right?
Right.
So like that, there you have that. Then another one, let's say somebody wants to lease the rights of your streaming income for a year. Let's say you actually lease out your tokens to an individual. Let's say you put them on the market and say, hey, I'm not selling them, but I am going to offer you the opportunity to lease the ownership. And so you get to maintain ownership over the income for this for a given amount of time. And then
That's
they come
insane.
back.
That's crazy.
Now that I never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So crazy. That's crazy, man. Hey, this is cool. This is cool, man. I hear what you're saying.
That's only, and again, this applies to all the different types, like mechanical, sync. It applies to all of
Right.
them, right? The tech works. It's just you need a different legal contract in that token to change what the token is, right? Does that make sense? So
Right.
we're doing stream tokens. And you know, this is one thing in our token, and you know this because you signed the contract, right? You saw the contract and you were a part of it. There's a contract attached to these tokens. What people are buying when they're buying the stream tokens is they're actually buying a token that's a contract. There's a contract attached in the metadata. It's an Arweave. It's stored in Arweave, but it's referenced in the metadata for that legal document, right? It's agreement between you and the fans. That's essentially what it is, and that's what has to change for each different type of IP, right? So, and that's part of the equation, right? And that's part of the work that we're doing on our end after we've created the tech to fractionalize and all that stuff. But you know, to me, this is just the beginning. But all the business models that we're talking about, can be applied to all the different types down the road. And I keep pointing this out, but I don't know about you. I would love your thoughts about this. I love the gamification aspect of things. And so talk about token gating. Let's say one day you want to potentially put up for sale part of your master rights, because we all know mechanical and master are the two most perceived value of a piece of music, right? Master even more so because that determines where it shows up, right? Like if we have 51% of the master rights, I'm like, it ain't on Spotify. It's not on whatever. You know what I'm saying? That gives you controlling shares of where it shows up in the world. But let's say you want to put part of that for sale, but let's put a caveat on it. Let's say only those of you who have a certain amount of other types of IP tokens for this piece of music can even have access to buy any of the master rights. So then that makes all the rest of your rights more valuable because they have to have X amount of streaming, X amount of sync, X amount of terrestrial, X amount of fill in the blank before they even have access and unlock access to purchase that master. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to me, that's where I see it going. Like in like the big scheme of things, with really basically tokenizing your entire IP, if that makes sense.
Right.
Does that what do you think about that? Does that sound like does that sound appealing to you as an artist? And I'm not saying sell all of it. You get the pick, right? You want to sell like 2% because a lot of times the mastering engineer takes 5% of the master rights typically, whenever tracks are cut, right? So, which is I always found really interesting. But anywho, what are your thoughts on that?
You don't take 5% of mine.
I know it's like the
I'm just
producer
saying.
and the producer.
Just
It's like
saying.
producer gets 5% of the master rights. I'm like, what the hey? So
Exactly. I never went for that. I'd rather pay an engineer or producer extra before I give them any percent. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting. That it would be something I consider because I make all my own music. I make songs every day. Like, so for me to put up the master rights for one record wouldn't matter to me. Like, I would do it just for the sake of the new meta. You know what I mean? But yeah, like what you're saying is that's dope because essentially what you're talking about is like musical DeFi. It sounds like musical DeFi. That's amazing, man. Like, and that's something that I feel like hasn't popped off, but what you're saying and when you start talking about the streaming revenue tokens, that's essentially what it is. You're looking at the musical stock market, you know. That's dope. And it's funny because I remember when I think Eminem actually went public one time, or he thought about going public or something like that, kind of having his music on the stock market or something like that. It was a long time ago, but I remember them talking about it, and that actually kind of implemented, that idea in my mind. I was like, why isn't there a music stock market? Like,
Yeah.
these music artists produce enough income to have, teams of 100 to 50 people. You know what I mean? So why aren't they?
but there is. That's the dirty secret. There already is a music stock market. It's just when you see when you see people buying and selling catalogs, what do you think that is?
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
facts.
But how many average people even have an opportunity to purchase a catalog?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's only there's only certain players in the game, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this to me is going, wait, everybody has a shot. Like everybody
Yeah.
can, and that to me is just really cool, you know. And I think that's going to be a cool concept of as an artist, you can do it. You don't have to. You can keep all the ownership for yourself. But the point is that you have an option, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is just kind of a cool thing. So I don't know about you, but I feel like people, I think personally, because we've conditioned ourselves to this, we pay our money a month and we just consume music, right? And you know, we don't think about the value time and the prep and actually how much value is associated and it goes into from the time you start to hear about something in your brain to when I consume it on a streaming platform. How many man hours goes into that? The specialties, all the decision
Man.
making, the post production decisions you have to make, not to mention the lyrics and the music side. That's a craft, right? It's there's so much value, and I think we've conditioned ourselves to not value, as a society as a whole. We don't value a piece of music because it's sad whenever nowadays the very thing that is what you do is the very thing that they don't even account for and on your income as an artist. It's all about merch and tour. Merch and tour.
Yep.
It's not even about the music. It's never about the music, which is
Yep.
that seems so bass backwards for lack of better terms, which that's just ridiculous. And I saw this, somebody said makes us all accredited investors. No, no, it doesn't. Um, so that's assuming it's a security. That's a presupposition. If it's security, then they go, and that's it's not the same because again, part of that Howey test is you buy something and you expect to make gains based off of the actions and work of others, right? And that's not the case with this, especially if you look at the contract. I would highly encourage all of you to go look at the contracts associated with the tokens you're buying, because to me, I think it's quite a thing of beauty. But that's just my own personal opinion. So, anywho, back full circle to this. That's kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you've seen the evolution. You've gone through the late '90s, early 2000s. You've seen that shift, and you've hustled and you've put boots on the ground, work through all that, and now you're basically doing it again, but just in the new format. So like, what are your thoughts on just where the industry's at, where it came from, and how can we do it better now? You know what I mean?
Well, for one, I feel like we're in a beautiful position. We're at the beginning. We're on the cusp of Web3 music, and it has not popped off yet, like at all. Crypto hasn't even popped off. Like, we're still not mainstream in crypto, so we're in such a great position to be able to mold it to how we want it to be. But not only that, like, even if everything stops today, and let's say the technology doesn't advance forward, we're still in a great position. The reason why is because, like you said, I grew up in the late 90s. I grew up in the 90s, right? I was born in the 80s. So I remember going to the record store with my mom, every weekend and picking up these records, when they first dropped. I talk about Master P. We had Mr. Ice Cream Man, pressed up on vinyl when it first came out. That was his first record that he dropped, like, mainstream. You know what I mean? So, like, I remember buying that record. But then if you go back and you say Web3 exists then, right? Every record that she was picking up, she owned a percentage of it. It was actually ownership. You know what I mean? And if you attach ownership to that, then think about where we would be today with the first record of Master P. Look what Master P went on to become. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at it from that perspective, just with the utility alone, which we already have, which is the number one utility of crypto to me is ownership. It's ownership. People want to fly above, and they want to go so far in the future and say, oh, we need more utility. We need this and that. No, it's ownership. So you have the right to be sovereign and to actually own this, whatever you buy. You know what I mean? So you own this Bitcoin, and can't nobody come take it away from you. Well, if you lose it, that's another thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what if you lose it, if you lose your keys, you lose your crypto. You know what I mean? But that's what comes with it. That's the caveat of being sovereign. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like it's already changed. You know what I mean? So just with that, like I said, if you go back in the past and you tell my mother, she loved to buy this music every weekend, and hey, so you get this percentage of this record going forward, and Master P goes to blow up, I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
Thank
Sitting on
you.
an island somewhere.
You
Yeah,
just
exactly.
you just said, thank you. I have not said anything about it on this entire stream. People, this because you've been in DeFi. I had my DeFi degenerate phase. I did. I mean, I was doing 100x leverage on certain things and all of. Listen, y'all.
100x. Oh, you're a
Yes,
cowboy. You're a real cowboy.
Listen, I've made 52 Ethereum in about 10 minutes, and then I lost about 48 Ethereum in about 30 seconds. So, doing fun things. Yes, there you go. Yeah, COVID crash. I literally caught ETH at like $76, went in 100x leverage, and up she went. And I should have been not an idiot and just left my account alone, but I didn't. Anyways, so I was NFT degenerate too, right? And people figured out real fast that there's no liquidity whenever we're in a bear market. So they all go, oh, I got 200,000 ADA worth of NFTs. Well, that's great. Can you find a buyer? No.
Right.
Well, I guess you don't have $200,000 or 200,000 ADA worth of NFTs, do you? If nobody's going to spend it. But all that to say, people have these, they're very short term and very short sighted. And so their definition of success is like, I bought my NFT, I immediately listed it on an exchange or on JPEG Store or on fill in the blank, and I did a 3x within 4 days max. I mean, that gets long, right? And that's a different investment. That's not even investing. That's just spray and pray, as opposed to an actual investment thesis of, oh, hey, I'm actually going to be holding this thing for a long time
Right.
because
X amount of time. Right.
because this is something that I hope will the whatever the piece of music is going to generate me income for years, but also the value of the artist and that piece of music. It might be the next, like I always say this, Mariah Carey, dude. She comes out of hiding once a year, and it's at Christmas time to sing "All I Want for Christmas," right? And she makes
Yep.
$16 million, and then she goes back in her hidey hole for the rest of the year. You
Yep.
don't see her, right? I want a piece of music from Web3 that gets to like that, and
That's
and
right.
and at that point, just the sheer fact of holding those tokens that are generating the income, that token's going to be more valuable because one, people can calculate how much it's going to generate you based off of prior history for like 5-10 years. But two, if you add token gating as the artist to that token as well, then sky's the limit on potentially how much somebody's going to be willing to pay to get to have that token, right? Or even to lease the token, right? So in my opinion, I'm looking at every stream token drop that we do. I buy a little bit. I just can't help myself because I'm going 15 years down the road from now, if these people have like become household names,
That's
and
right.
I'm sitting here holding these still, holy crap, right? Like I'm not looking a year, 2 years. I'm like 10, 15, 20 years down the road. A lot of this could be worth crap. But the stuff that hits and becomes a thing, it'll be worth its weight in gold.
Like priceless. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, me and Mikey always talk about that. Like, you can talk about like, Drake goes independent and he does 2C Slide Part 2 on NEWM, right? Like the music industry has never been the same. Like that's it, right? Or you can also think about the new Drake, right? The undiscovered Drake that drops the record next month, and then he turns into Drake Part 2 10 years later. What's that token that drops next month going to be worth, And that's kind of where we're at, right? Because this is open to anyone. It is like, oh man, I probably should get a little bit of everybody here because there's just no way to really determine. Obviously, their talent and all that plays a part in it, but sometimes you get that one that you just don't know.
I got a question for you. You know, we have a lot, as an artist, you have a lot of output, right? And certain things hit, and especially if you release like an album, most people listen to the first half of the album and maybe the last song, but there's like that, always like that 6, 7, and 8 on the album slot that it's not filler for the artist because obviously you wrote it, so it means something to you. But from a consumer standpoint, it's like, how often did you ever really listen to that 6, 7, and 8 on a CD? Like it would take a lot for me to get that far down the rabbit hole, especially if I like really liked one that was early on. I would end up playing that over a lot.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like personally, if there's a market now for ownership over this, it's going to actually incentivize people to go and explore catalogs, like and listen to the obscure stuff.
absolutely. Yeah,
Because they're going
absolutely.
to be
Because
they're going to be
because it'll
searching.
be B-sides. Yeah, it'll be those B-side records or track 6 or track 7. That's the one, right? And you didn't know that at the time, but you're right. It's going to make people like almost like data mining for that one.
I see you
Yeah.
making a face over there. What do you think about that? Because this is where my brain goes.
Man, you just introduced so many different metas, man, for this music DeFi thing. You really opened it up, man, because I just really thought of myself as an investor. Like I put on my A&R hat and my investor hat at the same time. And I'm sitting here imagining myself looking at the track list like, which one is next? Which one is gonna be the number two, the B side? Like you said, the B side hit. I think it's
Yeah.
this one. No one thinks it's this one, but I think it's this one. I'm gonna put my chips on that
Yeah,
one.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
double
buy it.
down. That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna double down on this one. And then 2 months later, the song goes to number one, and you're like, "Oh man, I believed in that song, and nobody didn't. I'm rich. You're not. You lose."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's fire, man. I think even what you're talking about is adding a new element to music too. Like it's almost like you just put like a sports aesthetic to music, right? Is it? And what I mean by that is like you can actually go into an arena and bet on your favorite up and coming music artist. You know what I
It's
mean?
like a
Like
horse race. Yeah.
like, oh yeah, it's like a horse race, right? You know what I'm saying? You could bet on that guy, and nobody, and now you can actually get credit for finding new artists, new
Yep.
music artists. I used to do that all the time. I used to just dig for new music artists, and I would know about this artist. Like I remember ASAP Rocky came out, and I knew about him like 3 years before everybody else did, but I never got anything for that. Like you never get.
Right.
How many times did you want to be that guy to be like, man, I found him first, but
Yep.
you don't get nothing for that. But
Yep.
now with this, what you're introducing, you can bet on that obscure artist that no one knows that blows up 3 years later, and you can actually get rich off of it. Like it's insane.
What's crazy? Like you said, the sports element, but there's a whole nother side of that too. I thought you were going a different place with that because that same metaphor could be taken on to the artist side too, right? Like if I know that now I have this vehicle that will allow me to be a musician full time, then and I got this like dedicated family or fan base or what have you, these supporters that are truly invested in me, then I'm going to step my artistic game up like completely, right? I'm going to try to make the best music I can as much as I can. It'll be much more focused on quality versus quantity, like the whole bit, because I know that the more that I put into this, the better that I perform, I'm literally going to be compensated for it, at a higher capacity. So it'll not only will it make it like more competitive on the consumption side, it'll make the artists more competitive against their own selves, against their peers, and make the quality of music better just by the sheer nature of who's investing in it, who's looking, and what they want their music to really propel and do for their own lives. You know what I mean? So it's crazy all the way around the board.
Okay, so we've been chatting for like an hour now. I wanna be respectful of your time. But so let's give some quick deets on the drop. If you have a better word for what it's called, I'm open because
It's a release.
we'll
It's
go
a
with a
it's a
release.
release, right?
A release. We're just gonna use that term for the release. So let's get some quick stats on how much did you put up for sale? Like how much percentage did you put up for sale? Let's give the bundle sizes, and then the price per bundle that we're talking about right now. So go.
So I actually put. Hold on. Let me get my stats real quick.
Get your numbers together.
Yeah, I got to get my numbers right.
You're
Got to get
good.
my numbers.
You're good. He's pulling them up.
Have to pull them up real quick.
I always let the artist do this and not me, just so it's coming from y'all's mouth and not my own.
so so I'm selling 2,500 bundles, right? And they're gonna be 15 ADA per bundle, which means that's 33,333 stream tokens per bundle. And I chose to do I think 80%.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm actually minting 80%, and I chose to keep the rest for airdrops and for me personally too as well.
Let's clarify. You meant it all 100%. You're just choosing to keep 20%.
Yeah,
For you personally to do with what you want to, and you're putting 80% up for sale for the community to purchase if they like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so and I know some people can. So I think this is number 6 for us now, as in our drop list, in our release list. And just to remind everybody that's catches this, This isn't the product. This is just to tease and to educate and to give opportunities to Cardano artists before this goes live, right? This is what this is going to look like. But so, some people can be confused by going, okay, wait, stream tokens, bundles, how much percentage do I get in a bundle? All the things, right? And so, just to clear up or to answer any of that question, when you mint, there's 100 million stream tokens. That's what gets minted for every song. You can choose how to group those 100 million stream tokens. You can group them in groups of 100. You can group them in groups of 1,000,000. It doesn't matter, right? So if you were to sell 100, if you were to sell 1,000,000, a bundle, so a bundle being more than one, so a bundle of 1,000,000 stream tokens, that would be equivalent to 1% of 100 million, right? Just so we all have that in our head. So that's how you can calculate the total. So that's how you can calculate essentially that number of stream tokens equals this percentage of ownership. If anybody's trying to do quick math at home, so that's how this works. And the reason we did 100 million is because we want to facilitate everyone, whether that be a completely up and coming artist that nobody knows about, versus like a Rihanna who might have greater want for her token potentially, right? So it's 100% with 6 decimals is how that works out to be. So just as an FYI. So, okay. So you said one bundle is what price again? 15 ADA?
Yeah, 15 ADA.
15 ADA at the current price of 39.30. I think it's 39 cents an ADA token right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I
Somewhere
think
around there.
So, not that I watch it or have it on my watch, actually. Yeah, let me check. Let me check my watch. I'll tell you real fast. 39. It's 0.3981. So, with that current price, I think you're looking at a whopping $6-7 equivalent,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
For a bundle, and that one bundle has 33,000 stream tokens in it. Correct? Roughly.
Yep.
I'm being
33,333.
all the threes. I love it.
All the
So
threes.
just so we know, that's where that lands on the spectrum. And this was a number you came up with. You want to tell us real fast how you came up with that number, or is that just kind of what you felt comfortable with? Because we don't set the price. This is with the artist. They go, hey, this is how I want to group these things, right? So, what can you give us a quick thought about your rationale behind that?
The numbers just felt right. 2,500 felt right. 15 ADA felt right. Also, I chose 15 ADA because that's what I chose to do for my general NFT collection that I have out. I chose 15 ADA. I just felt like it's a sweet spot for singles, for a single record.
I got you. I love it. This is the beauty of it because it's an experiment essentially in market dynamics and what the market's going to settle on, and there's no right or wrong answer. It just is. And so that's going to be really cool to watch this happen. Also, it'd be fun to watch what you do for your community put later on down the road for those people that have those tokens or airdrops or whatever it is that you might or might not do, right? Because as an artist, best practice, cover your own. Never promise something that's not in a contract, because then if somebody comes a calling, they're gonna send you something in the mail that you're not gonna like, right? And if you have a whole bunch of folks that have bought something with the expectation of X and you don't deliver, then next thing you know, some lawyer's gonna be really happy because they're about to have a class action.
That's why I believe in under promising, over delivering.
Yes,
Absolutely.
amen to that. Right, and as an artist, I'd say best practice: never promise. Just let people begin to associate that. Hey, if I buy something from this artist, typically they do something really nice for their holders, and so you build a reputation.
Yeah, he's good money. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm with you. Okay. Well, I know we've been going on for a hot minute. We've taken up too much of your time now. But I thank you for nerding out with me for a hot minute early on and patience with the audio. Any final words for the audience or anybody that was going to be, looking at your music that you want to share before we hop off?
Yeah. All right, so you guys can catch me tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST. I will be having a mint party based around Fright Flight. Like we said before, 15 ADA per bundle. 2,500 bundles are being sold or minted, however you want to say it. But yeah, you guys pull up and show support, show love. Yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're just gonna keep on pushing the envelope, man. And thanks for having me.
No, thank you. It's super, super wonderful to meet you and this to chat with you and hear your story, and how you're viewing crypto and Web3 and all that is. So thank you so much for that. Any artists out there that have any thoughts or questions about how can you get involved in Web3? How can you start your music career in Web3? Reach out, reach out to our team, Mikey, Mitchell. There are, artist ambassador relationship team. They do all the things. They can help walk you through some of that and give you some options. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's a tool. There's no one size fits all. It's what your needs are as an artist, right? So I'm super excited. I hope the mint goes well. I know I'm going to be getting some. So I look forward to it. And everybody that's listening at home, thank you for your time. Thanks for your questions, and just your dialogue and banter. That's super witty. And we will see all of you next time around, maybe on a Twitter stream or Twitter space too. So, all right, everybody.